Hi, my name is Kevin McDonald, and I'm declaring my independence. Independence from what? Why, negative thoughts and energy, of course. Chief among them, hate, division, and fear. You see, I know that we're all one, and together we can solve any problem, save our planet and each other. Please, join me as we come together as one and choose a better way to be. So now, let's begin with my independence report. Everybody, to my independence report. It is Thursday afternoon on a beautiful, well, it's beautiful here. It's kind of cold, but this is 3/11/2021, and we have got a very, very cool guest with us today. Her name is EILEEN Dailey. Hello, EILEEN. How are you?
Hello, Kevin. I'm doing well, honey. Thank you.
Well, good. We're here. It's great to see you too. We haven't really met yet, so this will be kind of a fun little introductory thing for us, because you're doing a lot. You're doing a lot to help the planet. You're doing a lot to help people. Tell us exactly what it is that you're doing.
Well, right now I'm focusing in on everybody handling the COVID pandemic situation. Last year, I had one of my clients call me, and I was taken by surprise because she said, "How are you staying so effing calm?" And then hung up. And I never had that before. I'm here to help people. So when she said that, I was like, "What did I say? What did I do?" And then she called me back the next day and said, "I'm so sorry, but I have to know, how do you stay so calm?" And in a nutshell, I said, I haven't been feeding into the frenzy. I have had to reinvent myself before. During the mortgage meltdown, I had my own business. My husband and I were making six figures, doing very well. And then bam, overnight it was gone. The lenders were not funding the 200 and some loans that we had pending. And that really, I mean, I've been doing this for 30 years in mortgage banking. So that was a real shakeup into saying, what am I going to do now? I'm approaching my 50s. Holy smokes. So I had done this before. I had to reinvent myself to figure out, what are we going to do? So this time around, I'm not going to minimize it, because it's not even worth minimizing anything, because it's catastrophic. But I went back to what I did before, and I still had that foundation as to knowing what to do. So I told her that, and she said, "You have got to make a course on this. You've got to help people." And so that's what I did. And I was battling COVID myself. I didn't know it was COVID at the time, but I had severe bronchitis from January, end of January, until May. Oh, so wow. I know what people are dealing with. So I did that. I put together the Finding Calm in Chaos, because I wanted to help everybody bring it down, to deal with the severity of it, but don't freak out about it. So that's what I did. Now, this time around, I'm seeing that even if people are calm, they don't know what to do, because their jobs have changed, their financial situation has changed. The kids aren't even back in school, really. Their whole dynamic of family living has changed dramatically. So they have to reinvent themselves. So this is my next course, Reinvent You 911. And for your listeners, I'm willing to give them both of the courses for one price, because I've got to get it out there to help people.
Awesome. Let me ask you a question, because I can't imagine what it would be like. Now, being a mortgage broker, what you do is you work between the realtor and the banks, and you fund everything. I can't believe how much paperwork you guys do, because it's like a novel thick of things you have to sign when you get into a house and all that. You had 200 plus pending transactions, which
I had a board that showed the status of all the loans from start to finish, auditing, and shipped back to the broker. because I was on the wholesale side. So I dealt with probably 50 brokers, 100 loan officers across the country.
Wow. And all of a sudden it just all disappeared.
Yeah, I looked up at the board for my visual, and my husband and I were at the same office. We had 3 offices at the time, but we were working at home. And I looked up and I went, oh my gosh, we're out of business, because 150 of those loans were sitting under the pending funding status, meaning everything's ready to go. We just need the banks to release the money, and they weren't doing that. And that's when I went, honey, we're out of business. I said, what? I said, look, the banks are not closing these. They're stuck. So I made a couple calls to some big wigs that I knew at the big banks, and the one guy, God bless him, Tom, he said, I said, Tom, we can fix this. We just got to get 6 to 12 people together, have them call up the borrowers and just say, hey, what's a payment that you can handle, and readjust the note, that whole thing. And he said, no, 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 the banks don't want to do that. I'm like, what are you talking about? I mean, because this is affecting everybody, whether they realized it or not, whether you're doing a refinance or not. This is the banking industry. He said, no, the banks want the bailout. And he had to tell me like 3 times. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And then I clicked in. I'm a little slow to click in on some things. So then it clicked in. I went, oh my gosh, this is much more than what I'm thinking it is.
Well,
so
and they were counting on,
doing,
if you go back, let's go back in the mists of time, back to 2008, 2009, when Barack Obama was just taking office, Bush was just leaving office, the employment numbers were horrible. We were losing.
horrible.
We were losing like,
Yeah.
I don't know, like 1 month. I think we lost 500,000 jobs in a month, and
Yeah.
and so everybody got really nervous. The stock market tanked. Everybody was scared to death that the world was coming to an end, basically the financial world anyway. And so the banks were really looking for a cash infusion, and the government was going to provide it with the stimulus. And so they were going to hold up on everything, as I understand it. They were going to hold up on everything until the stimulus came through, and then maybe reassess at that point. Now, how long did those loans sit there before you called the people that were involved and said we can't get funding? And how long was it before you closed the doors?
It really wasn't that long, but it was that long because I had loans that were sitting there for 3 weeks, probably the max, that were ready to go. And I'm getting all the calls coming and saying, what's going on? What's going on? We met all the conditions, blah, blah. I said, I don't know. Check with the title company, check with escrow. I don't know. Because I would be in contact with the bank side, and I'm getting the underwriter saying, no, you're in funding. The docs have been approved. We're just waiting for, someone to flip the switch to send the money. So, okay, gotcha. People had their moving trucks lined up. I mean, people even had everything in the moving trucks, So, I mean, it's not funny. I mean, I was dealing with this for 30 years. I remember when the first time I started in 1977, you had 2 types of loans, a 15-year and a 30-year.
Right.
And then it's like, oh my God, we went to one adjustable, loan type of loan. And then you had the shift from the Fannie Mae Freddie Mac lending to Wall Street, which upset everything. I mean, rates were at 21, 22%. It was crazy. And that was way back in the 80s. So, I had gone through that shift before. And when I saw it, the rumblings and stuff, because the rumblings started probably about, I don't know, I'm thinking 02, 03. You started hearing weird stuff coming through the pipeline. And I thought, okay, well, we're shifting from Wall Street to global. Okay, and there's going to be a hiccup along the way. I got it. But I never saw this coming. I never saw it coming. And I'm clairvoyant, so I'm supposed to see the stuff coming, but it wasn't meant for me to know.
Sometimes those things are because of free will and free choice and all of that, that it can change at a moment's notice. And so suddenly you guys, this is a great story because you were uh six-figure income earners. You were doing well. Woo-hoo! You had 2 weeks vacation a year. You were leaving the country. You're going and
Finally.
hey, you were having
No,
fun.
no.
And
We're workaholics, but we're good.
yeah, well, we all have to do something for fun, and so now you're also, um, I want to get into this, and which is that you're clairvoyant as well, and you are also.
Mhm.
And did you do that professionally, or do you use that in your everyday life?
I do it professionally now, and I do it in my everyday life. So yes and yes. It's one of those things where I thought everybody was like me, and it's my husband said, "No, no, you're the spooky one. Not everybody's like you, and I'm like, what are you talking about? So, this is from a box, but I don't see things like I should see it, immediate. So, it's like what, and I have to have his analytical human side explained to me because I'm in between. I'm talking above and below, so I'm having to be the bridge to figure things out. So it. I was born with it, and it's just now's the time for me to do it full time. I love helping people. Um, the reinvention that we had to do, Paul and I were able to find a position where we could still work together. And so we were community managers in your senior retirement communities for 10 years. And that's where I just love seniors. That's where I would be able to help them and help their families when they were going through the process of dying. And I would explain what the physical signs are to the family and what was going on with them on a soul level. Absolutely phenomenal. Phenomenal. So my husband said, "You got to do this full time." I said, "Great. Okay." So I jumped in.
It's
Both feet.
interesting. Well, the congratulations, because I'm glad you did, because I think it's really needed. I live in a
Thank you.
55 plus mobile home community, and I have to laugh because it's almost like we need a firehouse substation in here, because we've got like 500 mobile homes,
Yeah.
and virtually every day I see the fire department coming
Yeah.
in and going and talking to somebody about something,
Yeah.
because we're all a bunch of old people.
Yeah.
I'm one of the younger
And,
ones, but it's
well, you're not. I mean, you're not old though. The body is, but this isn't. I mean, and I didn't see seniors as seniors. I still don't. I see them as kids because it's just like junior high. You got the mean girl table, you got the bullies, you got all of those. I mean, you do. It's hilarious. You couldn't make this stuff up. It's hilarious, but it's also very fragile. You see that they're not who their title is, especially men. You know, they were the, oh my gosh, I've met JPL employees, scientists, I mean, just all straight actors, actresses, you name it, all levels of life. But it all boils down to what do you want to be now? We are all very, very fragile. We really are, and the self limiting beliefs show up. Someone told them when they were 6 that you're not good at da da da. Really? No. So, I'm excited for you. That's a fun place to live.
It is. It is. We're still in the midst of COVID and stuff. But see, what it's done for me is because of the fact that I'm a little younger. But I fell, and this is well known if you listen to my podcast. I fell. I was a bus driver for King County, and then I fell and tore my rotator cuff, and then I fell again over a dog and tore my other arm up, and they had to have surgery on both. And so I haven't worked since, but I'm doing these to the
Yeah.
tune of 230 of them now. And I'm going to
Yeah.
continue to do them because I love talking to people like you because you just fascinate me. You just fascinate me with who you
Oh,
are and where you come from.
I'm normal, honey. I'm just like you. I'm normal.
Well,
I mean, I'm real.
of course, but everybody's real, everybody's normal. But I wanted to because what you've seen in the older folks, and I see a lot of it, is that they feel like
Mhm,
their life
mhm.
is over, that they're older
A
now.
bother.
Yeah, they're a bother to people. There's a
Yeah,
downward incline.
yeah,
Um, you know what I used to
yeah.
do is I had something called Family Legacies, which I would wanted to record the
Mhm.
life story of somebody that was older, so that the
Right.
family would have in their
Yes,
voice their own
yes,
story
yes,
going, and I couldn't get anybody to
yes.
do it. It drove me nuts because it was
There's got I it's almost like the Veterans History Project. Um, we were very sensitive to Paul and I are both veterans, so we're very sensitive to veterans. And we heard of this project where you go and you tape veterans and their stories. We had Roy, oh, I just want to cry. Roy was a very, very quiet man. And one day Paul walked by the dining room table and he said, I don't know why I'm here. And he was talking to himself. I was like, what are you talking about? I said, I just don't know why I'm here. I shouldn't be here. And he sat across from another gentleman who was very quiet as well, Japanese gentleman. And Paul got into it and said, what are you talking about? He said, well, I was a prisoner of war and the Japanese were coming to kill us. I'm just very short story it. And so he said, have you no mercy for a widow's son, which is a Mason term, which I didn't know, Paul didn't know. And there was a Japanese lieutenant that came out from behind and said, yes, there is. He was a Mason too.
oh
So we
wow.
let him go. So, in letting Roy go, and I'm getting goosebumps on this, he saved, I think, two platoons that were going to be invaded on. So he got the Medal of Honor, Purple Heart, and that whole thing. So it was so interesting because his family didn't know about that story. We put it on tape, and I believe they're at the Smithsonian. But he sat across from a Japanese gentleman. So it just tells you how full circle life is, that we're all here for some reason. And it's just so wonderful. And I love to come see you and talk to those seniors and say, hey, you got to talk to Kevin. He's going to be putting the stuff on tape. Your family deserves to know your story. And, with all the blarney that they can throw in and embellishment and stuff, get them all hyped up. I would love to come see you and go knocking on those doors and go, Kevin doesn't have your video done yet. What are you doing? Oh my gosh, you're sitting in a gold mine, honey. Gold mine of memories.
Oh, I know. There was one. I did one gentleman, and his dad said, I think my dad's got a pretty good story, so I would like to preserve that for the family." And so I
Yeah,
sat
yeah.
next to him, and he was in World War II. He was he was the personal secretary to George Patton, who ran the third.
Oh,
And then after the war, he went to Hollywood and he knew Bing Crosby and Bob Hope. If you're younger, you have no idea who these people are, but in their day, they were the Cats Meow, the big time dudes, and they were
yeah.
in,
Oh, yeah.
and there was a
They
big
were the beginning of Hollywood.
yes, and
Yeah.
so his life story, which ended, had I not told it, it would have just disappeared into the ether. And
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
everybody's life, and I don't care who you are, everybody's life is important, and they have wonderful
Oh, yeah.
stories to share. And
Yeah.
that's why I'm glad you're doing what you're doing, because you're explain the program that you're working with, and that you're helping people to not go jumping off the deep end in this time of COVID.
Yeah. I'm the finding calm and chaos is like the first layer. to calm down and figure out who you are, why you're getting all ramped up. The second layer, which I'm doing now, it's going to be done probably in a week, is Reinvent You 911. So once you calm down, you're going to be able to see things, avenues to pursue, and it gets into who do you want to be when you grow up? Hello, you're grown up. There's 9 things that you can do to reinvent yourself. And I'd like for people to take this time that they've had and sitting at home, reorganizing, organizing again. There's only so much you can do in organizing your house. Now, organize who you are. Organize what do you want to be? Go back to when you were a kid. What did you find joy in? See if there's something you could do now that brings that joy out. Because what's that saying? You never work a day if you find joy in what you do, meaning the job, something like that. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So go back. It's one of those things that's like we all have it. When I was trying to figure out what I was going to do way back when, there was a counselor, I think a school counselor, that told me, what's it called? What color is your parachute? That was like a book for people that don't remember books, of what to do to figure out what you want to do. I thought I wanted to be a flight attendant because it sounded so glamorous and stuff. Well, I got shot down. They said, you're too short. Keep walking. Oh, now they don't have that, but anyway. So, to pay the bills and stuff, I got into, the mortgage industry way back when. And that was very, very good for me. Took care of what I need to take care of, all my kids and feeding them and bills and all that stuff, yada, yada. So, but I really am sincere in wanting to help people out. I've got it broken down into the 9 things you can do. And I've got that as a freebie for your listeners. They can just, send me a request on my website, daily gift, and I'll give it to them. They don't have to go through the courses, but the courses are more in depth as to, where are you? What do you want to do in a worksheet, in videos and stuff like that. So I want to get the word out to people to say, hey, hello, you don't have to freak out, because freaking out blocks everything.
I have a sad
Creativity is part of it, so that's what I want to do.
I have a sad story for you. And it involves my father. My father,
I know your father well now.
You called him Mr. McDonald, and that's what he worked for Nordstrom for 30 years. He was an executive with them, and he did very, very well. He was loved by all that worked with him because he was kind and fair, and he was a very good man. Well, he retired. Nordstrom's operated at that time in a way that he made one comment when he was 58 years old, and they said, "Oh, you want to retire?" And he said, "Well, no, not really." He said, "Well, guess what? We're going to package you out at 58." And he got a nice severance to get packaged out. But the problem that my dad had, that I'm hoping that you can help other people escape from, was that when he worked 6 days a week for most of his adult life. He worked very hard at what he did, and but when it was gone, so was his identity.
Yeah. I was just talking to my husband about that. It's real. I know so many men that once they retire, they pass away. And because they don't have any more identity, they don't have a purpose, they don't have that gumption to get up and go, the routine of, the daily grind, excuse the pun, but, women, I hate to categorize, but women have been put into this box. Men have been put into this box. And you can see it when you watch the 50s shows, the 60s shows, like Mad Men. They captured There was a secretarial pool for women. You never saw men in that secretarial pool, even though I know they knew how to type, but that's the way the structure was. So for men, what am I going to do? I have no purpose. If they don't have any hobbies, if they don't have something else that they wanted to do after to pursue, the light goes out.
So what my
You
dad
know,
did, oh yeah, what my dad did was he joined a country club that they could afford on Woodby Island, and so his work day at that point consisted of golf Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. There was a group of guys that would get together, and then they would all play a round of golf, and then they would all go into the clubhouse and they would play gin, and
oh,
that was his job to do. And
there
so
were. Mm-hmm.
yeah. So he did that for
Yeah.
5 or 6 years, and he fell. He fell and broke his hip.
Oh,
And after that, his golf game started to deteriorate. He couldn't do what he's getting older. He couldn't hit the ball as far and all that. And he started losing money with the bets that he had because of his handicap and all of that kind of thing. But he
yeah.
didn't have anything to turn to. He had work, then he had golf. I mean, he was so well known at that country club that he would have waitresses as he was coming up the ninth hole. He would have waitresses run out of the clubhouse with a couple of Bud Lights, so he could make the turn. So I mean,
He
he was,
had them trained, didn't he?
he sure
Wow.
did,
Wow.
he sure did. But when that ended, when he couldn't do that
Yeah.
anymore, then because I talked to him about it a number of times, and I said, Dad, you're so talented. You can do so much. And he said, no, I just don't. So that led to his downfall and his ultimate demise.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
And I hope we are turning the corner to see that seniors are valuable, you guys. It's
yes,
like they've got this wealth of information. It's crazy that we're not tapping into it. And I'm not talking about seniors 50s, 60s, 70s. I'm talking about 80s and 90s, because they still have the brain. They still, even if their short term memory is bye bye, they still have the long term memory. Anita Mackey is this phenomenal lady up at the last community that I was at. She's 107 now, and
wow.
she started with Veterans Social Services in Santa Barbara. And we celebrated her 100th birthday. She had a huge party for everybody that came in. It was phenomenal, all day and almost all night. And Paul's so good. He made a chart of what had happened in her life since she was born. The Industrial Revolution. You're like, what? All the stuff that had happened, and as a woman, she should not have had a college degree. As a
Right.
black woman, she should not have had a college degree.
Oh
But her
wow.
husband was smart enough to say, you are going to get this. No kicking and screaming. I'm going to force you to get a college degree. So his wonderful foresight created this nurturing, wonderful woman who is now 107. She turned 107 on January 1st. So I'm just amazed. And she still remembers the other stuff. She's not real good with the short term memory, but if you ask her what happened in Chicago, blah, 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 oh, honey, when I was, da da da, and she'll tell you what happened, and she'll tell you what she sees in the generations coming up, the generations that she was around and that she, survived everybody else that passed on. And the one thing I asked her, I said, Anita, what would you tell me that you wish you had known? And she said, the one thing that I wish women would know is how much power they have and not to be subservient to anybody. And I went, okay, thank you. Phenomenal lady, phenomenal. So you've got a gold mine you're sitting on, my friend. I'm going to come up and I'm going to do marketing for you because this is so cool.
Well,
Oh,
as
ah,
soon as COVID is over, they've redone our little clubhouse and stuff, and it's not open yet. And so as soon as COVID
okay.
is over, then I'll be. That's one of the. I have a little studio in my little place. which is where I am today, and I can do all the podcasts that I do, and and stuff. People are amazed that because I'm not driving a bus anymore, that I'm taking this as a new career, and I'm
It
taking it
is.
very seriously. And you said something to
You
me,
reinvented you.
huh?
Um, you reinvented you.
I did, I did, and
You did. Yeah.
it's what I,
What did I say?
huh?
What did I say?
You said that I was going to be big.
Huge.
That's
Huge.
yes, and
Yeah.
then
No
and
Blarney. No Blarney. Yeah. Sorry. I'm 99.2% Irish, but no Blarney there. And you better call me to help you with the marketing.
well, I'll
You
help you.
pinky swear you're going to call me?
Yeah, I
You
more than
pinky swear you're going
if you've got
Okay.
the
All right.
time and would like to help. See, this podcast is all about um declaring our freedom from hate, division, and fear, and to get rid of those, and so that we can all live better. And that's why it's really important to talk to people like you, because
Yeah.
you are able to help people recognize that, as far, yes, there's an end of life, that's when you pass away, but until that day you can continue to have an impact in your neighborhood, in your world, and do and follow your passion, so that you don't end
Yeah.
up just lying on the couch or sitting in your
Yeah.
house
Yeah.
just waiting for somebody to bring you a meal, rather than you take charge of yourself and say, I'm relevant, because we're all relevant till the day we die, right?
The body may not work as well as it did before, but there are still so many things you can do. I mean, yeah, my fat bucket has gotten wider and stuff because of COVID, but there's still things that you can do even in this situation. You can still write letters to the soldiers. You can still write a letter to a kid, down the street. You can make phone calls, there's so many things you can do. Even if you got arthritis in your fingers, it doesn't mean that you have to stop your life. I wish people would understand how powerful love is. It is more powerful than any solar energy, any wind energy. You can move mountains with love. And, you see it in moms that are going to bat for their kids. You will not be able to stop them.
True.
Anybody who's got a passion, you will not be able to stop them because passion is coming from love, coming from kindness. And that's why I keep telling people, please be kind to you because it has to start first with you.
Exactly. I don't want to
It
tip it.
does.
I don't want to tippy toe around this particular issue, because I think that it's important that you were born psychic. You are also a psychic medium,
Mhm.
and you are now
Mhm.
actively promoting your gifts and using your gifts. I was just blown away because you sent me a text message after we had talked and after we had booked the show here, and you sent me a text message of a message from my father, and I was curious to
Yes.
know,
Yes.
because I wasn't around you at that time. It was hours later. It was like, what happened? Did he come to you? Did you seek it?
Yeah.
How'd that
Yeah.
come out?
Okay. By us talking, that opened up the bridge for him to say, oh, you can tell him this. It's like I'm the light that can, and I don't want to say light, I'm the moth hole that they can get through to say, "Oh my gosh, you can hear me?" All those goofy movies that aren't really goofy, like Ghost and other stuff. There is the validity of truth as to how it is above. And there's a saying, "As it is above, is below." So I went to New York City in January, right after 9/11, and because I was told I need to go there. Well, when I went into St. Patrick's Cathedral, I almost didn't make it out because there were so many souls that knew I was there and I could help them, and I almost got swallowed up. And so I had to just leave real quick because it zaps my energy. I get very, very sick if I handle too much stuff. So um, once they know that you can see them, hear them, they're like, oh my gosh, okay, tell them this. You know, there's many nights that I can't go to sleep because everything's quiet and they're like, oh, okay, and that's what your dad did. But he was very gentle about doing it. And I remember saying, so is it Mr. McD? And he went, no, I'm Mr. McDonald. Gotcha. Okay. No problem there. So um, by by opening up that little crack in the door, that's what happened.
You know, it's interesting
And
because you don't know everything that was going on. You and I talked that day, and we agreed that I thought the work you're doing with Reinvent You and helping people reinvent themselves going forward, because we're all going to have to, in some manner or form. Anybody who thinks we're going back to the way we were is nuts. Everything's going to change, which is good. I think
no,
can be a really good change
it is.
if we can do it right.
Yeah, yeah,
But you didn't know.
yeah.
See, I was that day. I was talking with guys that I'm working with to develop a logo and a new website for me. And so they showed me a logo. I showed it to this person. They said, no, I don't like it. This person likes it. And And you know how that is when you show something to somebody and you get 10 different opinions
Yeah.
about what it is.
Ah,
Yeah. And the message that you left later on that night was just be true to yourself and do what you want and don't let anybody distract you, which is so I ended up doing exactly what I wanted, and everybody else can just have to deal with it. So that was a really interesting message that I got from him, because that is exactly how he would do it. And is he proud?
Yeah.
Is he excited about what I'm doing?
yeah, yeah. I very, very. It makes me want to cry. He's just so proud of you. That proud's not even the right word. Yeah, yeah. It's beautiful. It really is. And um, he wants you to know, because he's here right now. He wants you to know that you got this. And he's going to nudge you. He won't shove you into doing stuff, but he will nudge you. And I say nag, but he's like, no, it's nudge. Okay, then. Okay. Yeah.
He was not ever a nagger, but he would say things like, consider this.
Yeah. Why didn't you think about, or consider this, or hey, have you ever? Yeah, yeah. He wants you to go down your path, but he's gonna be keeping the training wheels on for a little bit.
What's interesting about all that is he was never interested or invested in the types of things that I do, the acting, the being on the radio, the doing all this. He was a very straight shooter, and he worked 6 days a week, and that's what he did. But he produced a kid that this is I just get the biggest thrill. I can be really tired coming in because I'm doing a lot of these, but I could be really tired, and then I get to get on the air with you, and it's just phenomenal for me. And it's because you're going to help people, and I know you are. And so let's go over your information. Because
I even make some people cry. I stop them in airports and grocery stores and stuff. But hey, thank you.
Well, and by the way, if you want to market me, I got an opening. So in any event,
in a heartbeat, yes, definitely.
Well, I don't have any money. So.
That's okay. It's called networking. Okay.
Well, that's true. That's true. But let's get back to Reinvent You, Reinvent Your World. That is a couple of courses that you're offering, and you're offering it for free for people, or if they want to get more in depth, I think it would be a better idea to get more in depth in working with you for a period of time, because it's awfully easy for us to go off the rails when we're sitting there by ourselves. So tell us about that portion of the program.
Well, I've got the freebie, the 9 steps to reinvent you. Reinvent You 911 is the course title. And I would love to help people in figuring out where they're at. There's many different levels to this pandemic. And when it first started, God told me that I have to stop everybody from being so self-centered. I have to have people working together, which is exactly what happened globally. But we're not getting it. So we've been here isolated for what, a year now? A year today is when they first came out with it. So people still aren't getting it. We are in the immediate gratification attitude. And that shows up and manifests in ways that aren't necessarily positive. So I want people to know that I am here to help. I will let you know where you're at, what I see is coming up, and what the challenges are. And I'm real. I don't sugarcoat anything. And sometimes it's that jarring that people need to hear. It's like, okay, your loved one is saying, "What are you doing?" Or, "Hey, you're better than that," or "You're on the right path." You know, it's the validation from up above coming through me that some people need. And just that one client that called, I went, "What?" The one that said what she said and then hung up on me. I said, "Okay, you're the one that's showing me that I need to step it up. I need to get out there. I don't like being vocal. I don't want the limelight on me, but if I got to do it, I got to do it to help as many people as I can." And by the grace of God, you and I are talking, because you've got people that I can now reach
Mm-hmm.
that I may have not been able to do before. So, yeah, have them contact me, dailygift.com. You can get the course there, both courses there, and I'll give you 2 for 1. You've got the freebie of the 9 ways to reinvent you that I will just send to them, and let me know, how I can help, what that stopgap is, how I can pull the plug and get you back into the creative juices, the flow of being kind, because people aren't even kind to themselves right now. It's been very, very harsh because, our mortality is the reality that we're seeing statistically on the news and stuff. And that's not easy for anybody to grasp, and especially if you have a loved one that's passed over. But the bottom line is our day to go is our day to go, whether it was COVID or hit by a bus or whatever, it still brings in the how fragile we all are. And what are you here to learn? What are you here to leave behind? What do you want Kevin to tape? What do you want your story to be?
Exactly.
Okay, you move into a senior retirement community, reinvent yourself. It doesn't matter if you weren't the Queen of Sheba, you are now. Come up with a good story that you want to walk in. So we're all here for that reason.
So many, especially when my sister and I were talking about this, because she's 69, I'm 63, and she's just about to turn 69. Sorry, sis, I predated you by a month. But in any event, she's kind of like, we're old. Our bodies don't work like they used to. I have arthritis.
Mm-hmm.
There's things that I can't do anymore. Can't play golf anymore. Can't do. But there are things that I can do that can make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as my brain is still working and my mouth is still working, a good one of my mentors, Larry King, passed away recently, and I want to be able to do what he did all the way through, because I'm 63, but I got 20 more years. I can do this easily.
Honey, you're not the 3-letter bad word old. You're not old.
No.
How young do you feel?
Except when I move. I know I feel mentally, I feel
Okay.
as sharp as ever. As sharp as ever, and
Okay,
as
so forget the exterior.
yeah.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
and I
So
feel
tell
like
your sister she's not old. She's just started.
yeah. What's you see, but that's what I'm so desperate for people to find your work, because you have got
Well,
it.
thank you.
It doesn't matter how old you are. I'll give you I'll give you another example. I have been a city bus driver for 11 years, 12 years. And there are guys that were driving bus for 20, 30 years. Well, they drove, in order to make a lot of money being a bus driver, you had to work a lot of hours. So, and these
Yeah.
guys had
Yeah.
responsibilities and families, so they worked a lot of hours. I know one guy,
Mhm.
he appeared to be healthy. He was a union representative. He worked full time. He gathered his pension, got everything together. He retired at 64. He was dead at 66.
Bam. Yep. Yep.
Heart attack,
Yeah.
he was gone.
So live today, because you don't know tonight, tomorrow, if there's going to be one down here. So what do you want to be for those moments that you're leaving behind? Because you never. My sister died at 58. She was the one person that loved life. I mean, just out there, da 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 da, and bam, we didn't even have time to process it. Found out she had ovarian cancer and gone. It's like, what? Not Therese, So that is a shakeup to say, Kevin, you don't know how much longer. Your sister, she doesn't know how much longer. She could be here until she's 104, 110. With medicine the way it is. Tell her, no, no, no. I'm not going to accept that she's OLD. Absolutely not. I need to come up with an acronym for OLD. What OLD means,
Yeah, I'll work on that. That's a good
I don't
idea.
know. Yeah, yeah. We need to do that. Okay, okay. But yeah, you're as young as you feel,
And if
even
you
though this is a little bit more noisy.
well, but you see, the thing is if you lose your passion for life,
Mhm.
and what happens, like my dad lost his passion for life because all of the things that he used to be able to do, all that he could call up, he would walk into the shoe department at Nordstrom and everybody was on their best behavior because Mr. McDonald is here, Mr. McDonald is here, everybody, and stuff.
Mhm.
When he retired, the clerk at the grocery store didn't know who he was. It didn't give a crap. He had to reinvent himself,
I know.
and he never did. So that's why I'm
Yeah.
glad you're doing the work that you're
And
doing.
find a purpose.
Yes.
Yeah.
And absolutely,
Thank you.
even if you're just walking a dog, even if you're just being a dog walker for the neighborhood.
E- Even if you're just calling someone to check on them
Right.
because you can't get out your mobility, you have issues, calling someone to check on them. Make someone say, "Oh, someone's thinking of me." Wow.
Right.
That's huge. Even if it's just for 2 minutes, 5 minutes. No, every day I'm going to call on you. You're my buddy. Buddy's really big in military. I'm former Air Force. My husband's former Marines. So there's a reason why certain things are set up that way. But be the buddy system, to show that, hey, you matter. You matter in my life.
So
It could be that easy.
let me ask you, Eileen. By the way, we're talking with EILEEN Dailey. She's got a program that's called Reinvent You 911, and it's time to reinvent yourself so that you can not only contribute to the planet, you can contribute to your family and your grandkids and your great grandkids and all that kind of stuff. So if somebody comes to you,
Mhm.
and wants to work with you, um, and
Mhm.
they want to go through the program, but they also want
Mhm.
some advice based upon what the other side is
Mhm.
telling you and stuff. You incorporate
Mhm.
all of that together, don't you?
I do. I've got it all on my website, dailygift.com. I've got about me, how to spot a fake or a con and not be sucked into that, because it happened to me too. Um, I've got, if you want to be an ambassador, I've got the courses there. I've got my podcast there. I'm not as good as you on the podcast because I'm still so, oh my gosh, look what I'm doing. But I'm getting there. I've got all at the little tabs at the top, and I have reinvented my website too. It's an ongoing process, but it's pretty much there already. So thank you for mentioning that. But
Well, and
it's all there. You can get a hold of me.
right now, and there you are. This is
Yes,
my
that's
goodness,
me.
that's quite a website that you have built there. And
You like it?
I
Okay.
do, and it is really cool that you've got a ton of you've got about and services and contact and courses and the podcast. And when am I going to be on your podcast?
I was going to ask you that. But okay, I got to figure out how to be the podcast host instead of the guest. So I haven't figured that out, but as soon as I do, or maybe you can help me figure that out too.
I'd be happy to. I'd
We'll
be happy
see.
to. There
Okay.
is a well, I've been doing this for close to 20 years now. That
I
I've
know.
and I started out on trying to just have my own program and my own company and all of that, and that didn't work out. This is going to work out phenomenally well, and
Yes. Yes.
I want to help people and help you move to another level, so we can do it
Thank
together.
you. I would love that. Love that. And it's all about people helping people.
That's it.
It's the networking.
That's it.
That's what it is.
There's a couple of things that are starting to come to the front of people's consciousness. One is we've
Yeah.
had enough of hate, we've had enough of fear,
Yeah.
we've had enough of division, and that and people are
Yeah.
starting to talk like you are about being kind, and that is so important for us to be kind to
Yeah.
one and not chase each other's tail and get
Yeah.
mad at each other.
And be kind with you first.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because if you're not kind with you, you can't spread it because it's that do as I say, not as I do. No, you got to be kind to you. Figure out if you're not kind to you, why not? You know, are they those SLBs, the self-limiting beliefs that you still have when you're 4, 5, 6 grade school? No. So yeah, yeah. That we all need it. We desperately need it.
Well,
We
and
do.
I am so glad that you searched me out. I don't know how'd you find me, by the way.
My assistants are so good. I think Abby was the one that found you. So I have to say kudos to Abby because you're my new brother. I appreciate it. So
Is Abby somebody that works for
what
you,
can I say?
or is she on the other side working for you?
Yeah, she does. No, no, no. Abby's down here. Abby's down here. So she does work for me. God bless her. She donates her time and just it's wanting to spread the word like you and I want to spread the word too.
Well,
I've got two helpers.
and they're both volunteers.
Yeah, yeah. Right now,
Yes.
once we make our millions, then they're going to be like, "Hey, come on board."
I got I gotta ask you a question because this is kind of in all seriousness and kind of kidding, but um no, I can't say that I'm kidding anymore because that diffuses the whole thing. I've been told.
Mhm.
Like, woke up one morning and I decided to muscle test. You know what muscle testing is? To see if like you hold your fingers together and if it's true they
That
stay together. Yeah, if it's false you can pull them apart
Yeah,
or whatever. And I said, all right. So is the
yeah.
podcast going to be successful? And I got a resounding yes. And then I said, all right, so how much success? Because you know who Joe Rogan is? Being a fellow podcaster, we can talk about this.
Yeah,
You know who
yeah,
Joe Rogan is?
yeah.
He just sold his podcast for
Mhm.
$100 million.
He didn't call me.
No, he didn't call me either. But he sold it to Spotify for $100 million. And so I know that there is money
Well, I'm
out.
on Spotify.
Yeah,
There is. There is.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
You're
so,
on it. You started it too early, though.
well, yeah, but I needed
You were
to.
back in the radio days, you know. I know. I know.
Yeah, yeah. So and but
Get
so
you through that.
but my muscle testing told me that my podcast at one point down the road is going to generate $13.8 million. How off am I?
I don't think you're off. I think the number is based on what you want it to be. And it's not going to happen overnight, is what I'm being told. Okay. You can make it 13.8 million. You can make it half a million, but it boils down to you need to keep track on who you are, not the money stuff. Because the money is like a secondary thing. If you stay true to you, is what I'm being told. If you stay true to you, the sky's the limit. The minute you start being fake, phony, irreverent, all those N words, negative words, nasty words, um, that's not your true intention.
No,
That's when it's going to clam up and it's not going to go anywhere.
no.
So it's up to you, whatever you want it to be. Um,
My intention
I'm
is
getting truth bumps on the number. Yeah.
I'm my intention is that when you see my intention is I intend to do this and for as long as my brain and my voice holds out and talking to interesting people and wonderful people like you because that is so needed in our world today. And I don't care about the money. Money has no relevance to me. But what it
Yeah.
would do is allow me to help more people.
Bingo. Bingo. Because money is, how do I put this? Money is not the goal.
No.
The goal is helping people and the ripple effect. More money comes in with the more people you help. It just is a weird way of happening. It's the abundance thing. So if you're going to, oh, I want abundance, I want to be materialistic, you are setting yourself back from getting to where you really need to be in terms of kindness, a real goal, the goal of, you don't see a Brinks truck behind a hearse, is a saying. And there's a reason for that because it's tangible just for here and now. How you use it for here and now can propel you on a greater spiritual level, which will create more abundance coming in. It's just to where I don't have time to think about the money because I've got to go out and help more people. That's going to be your focus. That is your focus now. So it's this weird um, roller coaster. People think it's the other way around. It's not.
No.
It's not. And that's where the shifting is taking place now because we're getting into this this era of check and balance. Wait a minute, not money check and balance. Who am I check and balance? You know,
Yeah.
the real people are having to step forward and call people on it. They're like, hey, you're full of blarney right now, and I'm going to call you on it. So you want to retract that? You got to walk the talk
Oh,
because
absolutely.
people, with the social media and stuff, everybody's watching everybody, for good, bad, and the other. The influencers are influencers that shouldn't be influencers.
Yep, you're right. You're right. Well,
Just saying.
let me give you my short term story to let you know that how I know this has all come about. because I don't know if I
Okay.
told you that, but um, first of all, I tried to make this type of program. It was called Positive Talk Radio, and I tried to do that in the early 2000s. And I was paying $2,000 a week to the station to do 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, and I was hoping to sell enough advertising to make it work. I wasn't able to fund it long enough to make that curve work and to make it all kind of. So I had to give it up, and then I had to go to work for a living again,
Yeah.
which was to drive a bus. I did that for 11 years. It literally saved my family financially, and was able to do a bunch of
Yeah.
stuff. And so I decided. So in the summer of 2019, way back when, I decided that I was sitting there talking with my son, and I'd been doing a podcast for somebody else and had helped them develop the podcast, and it had grown quite a little bit. Then we had a falling out, and I decided that I wanted to do my own thing, which is what I should have been doing in the beginning anyway, is doing my own thing. And so I started. So I asked my son, and my son came up with the name My Independence Report. And the reason that we call it My Independence Report is because we are going to be free to talk about things that are important for us, and we're getting rid of hate, division, and fear in the process. And so all of
Yeah.
that worked, and that was a gift from my son, which was a gift from God to come up with the name. Then I went to the
Yes.
internet and I looked at it and I said, well, there's got to be, come on, My Independence Report. That's pretty mainstream. There's got to be. I'm not going to be able to get
Yeah.
a website or any. The .com was available. The .net was available. Nobody is doing anything like what I've been doing, and it was pretty clear. So I
More
started.
confirmation.
Absolutely. So I started it with some old talk radio, my Positive Talk Radio tapes. I've got a box full of tapes, hundreds of tapes of interviews that I've done, including Neil Donald Walsh and Gary Zukav and JP Patches and all kinds of folks. Anyway, so I've put some of those up, and the thing started to take off a little bit. I have a friend who is. By the way, do you communicate with animals?
Um, yes and no.
Okay, well then we'll leave that for a different thing. But anyway,
It's one of those things that I have to check in with the energy. Okay.
she's got a show that she does on KKNW on Sundays, and we go way back to 2003. And so she asked me to do one Sunday a month. So I started doing her show. I was doing the podcast. I was building the brand, and then I was continuing to drive and doing a podcast a week, or putting one up every week and a half or whatever. And then I decided to move into a mobile home park, which is this mobile home park. I was able to get the home that I wanted at the price that I wanted, was able to pay for it out of bus money. And so that my expenses literally dropped in half. When they dropped in half,
Oh,
I knew that I was in better shape to be able to do more. And so when I moved in here, and the last day I
yeah.
was moving in, I was carrying a lamp in the house and I tripped over the stair, and I fell, and I tore my rotator cuff, and I had to have surgery on that. 2 months later, after that surgery, my son, I was babysitting my son's 8-week-old puppy, and tripped over him, fell, and tore the other arm up. And so I had to have the I now know what it's like to feel old, because I had to have the medics come and help me. I can't get up. So they helped me up and took me to the hospital. And
Hmm.
I had to have that. So I've had both of them done. I'm now what would be called disabled, and I'm on disability. I've had disability insurance, and so that will take care of me until I'm 65. I don't need to make, and I've made this clear on this podcast, I don't need to make any money from this. I'm not interested in making money from this, but I am interested in getting the word out about this and about people like you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. And if the money's coming in, And the money's going to come in to help you get that going to a broader base. Everything is in divine and perfect order. You couldn't finagle it back in the 2000s, early 2000s. So, you know what? You had it. It just wasn't the right timing.
Right. And they so
You
they've
had to get hurt twice in order for it to be good time.
they've given me the opportunity
Yeah.
to do this in a meaningful way, and
Mhm.
I can afford it. It's just not a matter of the
Mhm.
money. Money has been taken off the table, and that's what made it fail before, which I want people to realize is that when you have a dream and you but money becomes
Mhm.
the big obstacle to it, you're probably not going to make. It's going to be hard for you to succeed, because the money can be an overriding
Yeah.
factor, and it also helps you. It hurts you mentally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Talk about that. When you are not able to,
Mhm.
when you have a passion, but you're not able to execute that passion because of other overriding things. How do you get
Mhm.
through all that?
You have to be very firm in what your passion is. And you have to know that come hell or high water, you are going to make this work. Um, it it's just one of those things where it still boils down to everything is in divine and perfect order. So you may be plugging along, but that may not be the end result. You may think it's this, but thinking back on other stuff that I started, I am way different than my first concept. So it could be that God's like, "Hey, I got your back. You asked me to take over, and I've said many times, okay, Lord, I did the mortal thing. Can you come fix it? Because I kind of screwed it up. Just pick my bucket up and put me on the right path. And I said, I don't care about my free will. You know better than I do. Stubbornness, the whole thing. So just please pick me up and put me on the right path because it's getting too clouded right now and just screwed up. So if you still have that intention of I want to be kind, I want to do this, this, and this, there will be a path to make it happen. There will be. Because if that is your true purpose in life, that's going to happen. Period. You can sidetrack it and you can ignore it as much as you want, but it's still going to happen.
You know what's interesting
There
about
you go.
that? That's so true. And you know what's interesting about this is that as I continue to go down, people like you are just showing up. I mean, I didn't recruit you.
Well,
I had no idea, except I loved what your
yeah.
idea was and what you were doing, but you just showed up in my world. And that's because somebody said to your assistant, "You need
Hmm.
to call this guy." I had the same thing happen yesterday. I had a singer
Yeah.
songwriter
Yeah.
from Sweden on, and she's phenomenal, and she's going to be very famous one day. And I asked them. I said, "Well, how the hell did you find me?" Because
Kevin, you got that road going.
say that again.
Yeah. Yeah. You started that ball rolling. It's going. It's going, honey.
Well,
You got the attention.
that's good to know because she said the singer, her name is Fia. She said that her manager went through hundreds of podcasts to find because they wanted to start off with on a real good note, and they wanted to, and so they went through a lot of podcasts,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
didn't find anything. Then I somehow they found me, and so it got hooked up. Those sorts of things are just happening because I really hope to believe that my intentions are pure, and that
It is. And you're that little moth hole that people want to go to spread the love, to spread the kindness, to spread the positivity because it's so needed now.
it
It really is. It's very much needed.
It
Yeah.
really is. And I have to tell you, I have had the wonderful time talking with you today.
Oh, God bless you. You too. Hey, and I'll keep bugging you when your dad comes through, okay? And I'll tell you, if you ever have a question about your dad, let me know, okay? And there's somebody else with him. I think it's his mom, your grandma.
Yeah, I hope.
I think she's with him because it's a female. Yeah, and I see them like, working in tandem for you. So
My
you're
grandmother was
good.
the love of
You're
my life,
good.
and she was the most extraordinary lady that I ever met. And I know that she is part of my life, and I know that my dad is part of my life, and I know that
Yeah,
that
yeah.
it's really cool.
I got truth bumps.
It's really cool that they have the ability through people like you. Because when my dad was alive, he thought what I did was a little on the weird side, but now he's over there and he's figured out.
Because you got to think of how he was raised.
I know,
Okay, he was raised for you put in your time, you take care of the bills, the family, and then that's it. That was priority. All the other stuff was fluff.
right?
Okay, you got to figure that out. That's how he was raised. Okay,
Well, you
so
tell him to get
it worked well for you, my darling.
yes, it did. You tell him to get everybody together and let's all work together to get people like EILEEN Dailey, and go to dailygifts.com or dailygift, no S.com, and you can get
Yes.
all kinds of information about how if you are lost, if you're sitting here in COVID despair, because you can't see your grandkids, you can't go to the store,
Yeah.
you're scared,
Yeah.
you don't want to catch this thing because you know damn well it might kill you. And so it's
Mhm.
changed everything about your life. Give her a call. She
Yeah.
can help you get back on track.
Please, please.
And
Honey, this has been a joy. God bless you. Thank you so much.
at this point in time, I always love to give my guests, you have the floor, young lady. Tell my audience anything you'd like them to know.
Let them know that I'm here to help. There are other people there to help. And please just be kind to you, because you got to start somewhere. And people know if you're phony or not. So be real and be kind to you. And it's not so bleak as it sounds.
I
It's really
couldn't
awesome.
I couldn't have said it better. And with that, I want to thank you very much. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play the close. I have a little closing bit that I do, and then I'm going to go right into the song that Fia gave me yesterday, which is "Love Is Love,"
Oh,
and you should listen to it if you have time. It is just
I do.
an extraordinary thing. And then if you listen
Oh,
to it, then afterwards you and I can chat after the show ends. So I'd like to
oh,
thank you,
thank you.
EILEEN Dailey, Daily Gifts, dailygift.com. Please go there and work with her. She's nothing short of phenomenal. And thank you for being here. You've made my heart
Oh,
sing.
thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And
Top of the afternoon to you, my dear.
yes, indeed. Top of the afternoon to you, darling. And we'll see you soon. Have a great day.
Yes. Thank you.
Hey, and thanks for listening to this episode all the way to the end. Hey, pretty cool. Hey, don't forget to follow us so you can receive regular updates and new posts. And remember, take care of each other, because each other's all we've got. See you next time on My Independence Report.
The way we love is a bit unusual. Some people say it can't be possible to live a life in unity, committed to each other while still remaining free. Just because we're different in the way our energy moves doesn't mean we have to give up our truth. Love is love no matter what color and form. beautiful. Nothing better than being met in my fullest expression. I'm safe to be myself. There's no need to compromise. When I'm in my power, everything aligns. Just because we're different in the way our energy moves doesn't mean we have to give up our truth. Love is love no matter what color and form. All are equally beautiful. Took some time to figure out who I am, what I want, the shape of my heart. The way we love is a bit unusual. Some people say it can't be possible to live a life in unity, committed to each other while still remaining free. Just because we're different in the way our energy moves doesn't mean we have to give up our truth. Love is love no matter what color and form. All are equally beautiful. Love is love no matter what color and form. All are equally beautiful. Dun dun dun.